I know that we've got 2 weeks to go until this election, but I don't want to overlook something that started last week, and that was the manslaughter trial in the death of Jordan Neely in Manhattan Supreme Court. Jury selection beginning more than a year after Marine veteran Daniel Penny ended up choking out Jordan Neely in a situation that resulted in Neely's death. And I bring this up because, yes, it's been a year, and no, we don't have subways here in Kansas City, but I do believe that this case will go a long way in continuing to give men guidance on how exactly they're supposed to act in situations that, fine, we don't have a subway system, but could easily happen anywhere, in any place, at any time in everyday life. Now, as you may recall, what happened here a year ago on this New York City subway is Jordan Neely, who had a criminal history, shows up on a subway train. And he talks about how he wanted to kill whoever was on that train. And he's just crazy. He's going nuts and the whole thing. Well, Daniel Penny, Marine veteran, encounters this situation. And right as Jordan Neely says he's going to kill anybody that is on that subway train, and he rips off his jacket, he's acting like a lunatic, acting like a crazy person. That's what Penny later told detectives. He put him in a chokehold. He perceived a threat. And he held him down with two other people to, in his words, try to de-escalate the situation. He said that two other men on the train helped him hold Jordan Neely down as they waited for police to arrive. Jordan Neely was still breathing when they let him go. And investigators testified they had not told Penny of the man's death when they interviewed him at the precinct building later. So Daniel Penny, and he noted as well that there were women and children all over this subway train. So he perceived a threat, and he tried to do what he thought was in the best interest of everybody on that train to de-escalate, to put this person, Jordan Neely, in a chokehold and wait for police to arrive. So his trial is starting yesterday, and what happens? Well, there's protesters all over the place because, of course, right? And what are they doing? They're calling him a white supremacist. You know, there's Malcolm X stuff all over the place. Dozens of Neely supporters arrived before the start of the hearing wearing Malcolm X hats outside of the Manhattan courthouse. They've got their dopey signs, Justice for Jordan Neely, and the whole thing. Another sign that I'm looking at here, no to white supremacist violence. So that's what Daniel Penny is dealing with right now. And remember, this is a manslaughter charge. No one is saying that Daniel Penny went into that situation with the intent to kill Jordan Neely. He's an innocent bystander on a train of women and children. This guy walks on and talks about killing people. What do? Well, we're told that chivalry should not be dead, but then things like this happen, and this guy may end up spending 2 decades of his life behind bars. Ironically, or I guess coincidentally would be the better word here, yesterday, this post went viral on X, and it was from a New York City subway user. And she wrote here, her name is Brecht, this man on the subway was repeatedly harassing a woman, being disgusting, invading her space. Tell me the F why me and the other women around tried to intervene and tell him off, but all the young, fit guys around stood silent and looked at the ground. Maybe Daniel Penny is why. You ever think about that? Maybe Daniel Penny, and the fact that his trial starts this week, jury selection begins this week, maybe that's case in point for why the young, fit guys who traditionally, historically, would have helped and probably inherently would like to help. There's part of just being a dude and having testosterone and being in that situation where you do want to help. But then you see a situation like Daniel Penny. You see people calling you a white supremacist outside the courthouse, and you're saying to yourself, hey, somebody with a long criminal history showed up and talked about killing people. I perceived a threat. I'm a former Marine. Women and children are on the train. I put a guy into a headlock. I have no intent of harming him. I'm trying to restrain him until law enforcement shows up. And now my life is totally ruined. And then the same people who would probably on social media post some dopey meme or put something up to look inclusive about Jordan Neely are then upset when someone's harassing them on the subway and being like, hey, where are the young, fit guys to help me out? You can't have it both ways. I know you want to have it both ways. I know you want it to fit, your perfect worldview, but the world is not perfect. And you either should allow and be okay with men wanting to be men in certain situations, or you know what? Strip the whole thing down. And unfortunately, when it comes to this issue in particular, the pendulum has swung too far the other way. And now too many guys sit there and say to themselves, I don't want to be Daniel Penny. I mean, sure, I want to do the right thing and help out, but, I don't know these people, and I don't want to be the next guy, just like cops. They don't want to be the next Eric DeValcanair in Kansas City. So what do? They stand down. They step back. They don't want to do the extra things that could be done to help people. And it's sad. It really is sad. It's not a culture that I think is good for America. It's not good for Kansas City. But guess what? There is, for the most part, one side of the political aisle that created this environment. And it's the woke culture that's right now protesting outside of some random Manhattan courthouse, claiming Daniel Penny is a racist, a white supremacist, and somehow invoking Malcolm X's name into this Jordan Neely story. That's why, unfortunately, too many guys don't want to be men. Look in the mirror for 5 minutes and you'll realize why.